everybody. This is the MMA Junkie Radio pre-show. Bet you didn't think you'd be hearing that, right? Because we've been gone for about 2 weeks. Here we are. We're back. And I am fucking blood red mad right now at two people. Danny for playing this song because he knows that this song really bugs me.
Fucking great song, though.
It is. And Chase for exactly what he just said right now, co-signing with Danny's chaos. He is the agent of chaos, so I'll give him that.
But this is just a beautiful song. I don't even know how you hate on Seal. It doesn't even make sense.
It is a very lovely song.
It's a beautiful song.
That's just his name, just Seal?
Yeah, Seal.
You know whose name never gets messed with that deserves to get messed with? Jennifer Jason Lee. Want to know why? Middle name's Jason. Nobody ever says anything about that?
I think that was a weak point.
You're a chick? Your middle name's Jason? Well, what I'm getting at is nobody, like, Seal? That's just your name? Seal?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? This was peak like music videos while they were doing movies with music videos. Like this was.
You're like a rapper.
I missed that so much.
You're like Raptor.
I missed that so much.
We were just talking about '90s stuff. That's a '90s thing, right there.
You know what? Even so, all three of us, the movie stunk, right?
Right.
But we can all sing "Wild Wild West," right?
Oh Jesus, yes.
Yeah. Right? Like
wow. I like the Eric Cartman version better though.
Which one is that?
You know what I'm talking about, Danny?
Oh, I love it. It's so great.
Yeah, that one. You can find it on YouTube or something.
Artemis Cloud Frog.
Yeah. Big
South
Spider.
I'm even Austin Powers. I had one.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Just the two of us. No, I'm saying I missed the days of movies that had a theme song.
Yeah,
and they had a music video. Yeah. And I especially miss Seal. Like Seal was fantastic.
Whenever we built something new in Vegas too, at a certain point, they would film movies. You see Austin Powers. I remember Sunset Station just got built, and they filmed the card scene in that casino.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you know they're making
Wild Wild West?
I have to leave soon, Eric. But me and Artemis Cloud Frog still have to do our love scene with Selma Hayek. Come down as soon as you're done. Well, I'm a badass cowboy living in the cowboy days. Take it with you, yo,
I have heard this.
Me and Artemis Cloud Frog go send Selma Hayek from the big
Should play this after Donald Cerrone wins. They should just play in the arena.
Yeah, his version's better.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. By the way, I'm loving this cafe con leches.
You like it?
I love it.
Cool, man. Cheers, brother.
Cheers to you.
It's good to have you in studio today.
It's good to be here. You know, I was here exactly a year ago. I got a Facebook memory this morning.
Did you really?
Yeah. It said you were there a year ago today. I was like, oh, yeah.
You might have been here a month
where you were.
Ago as well because we just deleted your show.
Yeah.
Why would you guys delete my show? Which one?
We only back them up like 30 days.
Is that the one where I absolutely trashed John Jones and I ended up being exactly right a week later? Is that the one?
I think so. I remember that.
I mean, come on. I went hard there, and I knew it could have gone badly. I went hard there, and it ended up. I'm surprised you guys didn't pick that up, and it was all over the place. Instead, the only article you guys
have to write an article to Chase over
it. No, fuck you. The only article you guys have ever written about me. The only article you ever written about me. By the way, the only thing I take from that is the start, which is industry vet, which was cool. The rest of it was how not to ask for an autograph, like I'm some sort of deluded fan.
That was great.
Like no shit. I read this and I was just like, oh my god, I'm a fangirl. How did this happen? How not to do your job that you don't even really get paid for?
Hey, you're an industry vet, though.
Yeah, that was nice.
What do you want from us?
I want. That's all I wanted, to be honest with you.
How's football looking for you so far?
2 minutes.
Miami Dolphins are undefeated.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
I've only caught first week
They've
of
only
college
played
football.
a game.
Fuck you. Technically, it's week 2, and they're undefeated after week 2. A little bit of wordsmithing there, but it's true. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Goes. What were you saying?
I've only caught week 1 of college football. That's it. A little bit of pro.
Who's your team? Are you UNLV?
In college?
No, yeah.
Well, I grew up rooting for the Trojans football.
Okay.
Because I lived out there, but when I moved out to Vegas, obviously you got to root for UNLV. But I mean, they just don't really do much. So I mean, I root for them, kind of, but
I hear you.
Grew up a Trojan fan, and then but if the Trojans had to face UNLV, then that's where the pride comes in.
I'm a Miami Hurricane fan, and ironically enough, they haven't played any of their. They played game 1. They missed game 2 and 3 because of a hurricane.
That is weird.
So technically, the Hurricanes are 3-0.
It's their mascot, right?
I thought hurricane season was over.
It's absolutely not. It is technically the start of the hurricane season and the end of the hurricane.
Were you ever around for one of those?
Which one? Oh, I was there during Andrew. I was in Andrew, and but during Andrew, it was just, hey, school's out. You know, I didn't have anything. I was worried about losing my toys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was a different thing altogether. But yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk about that a little bit today too.
Hurricanes are scary.
What was that hurricane's name?
Which one?
No, the one that just hit Florida.
Irma.
And the other
Number
one's
30.
Maria. And
There's
Jose.
like a ton right now too, right?
Yeah, the
Mhm.
one just crushed
Out in
Puerto
the
Rico
ocean.
again, man. Puerto
Yeah.
Rico, they're getting it straight out of the Atlantic, dude. It's
and the earthquake in Mexico.
you go ahead and tell me global warming isn't a thing. After all this, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
This is all record-breaking cocksuckery. It's wild.
All right, guys, coming up at 10. Start this thing
I
off.
can't believe those were his last fucking words.
Stand by.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Live from the fight capital inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are watching MMAjunkie Radio, the only show that matters, the only show you go to get your information on MMA, on boxing, on pop culture, and guess what? We're back, and that's why the busboys are going to take us in. Take us in, Danny.
We ain't gonna wait no more. We're getting ready to rock and roll. We're gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
Me? Darren's watching.
Nope. He is, though.
And you should wear your favorite lady and promise her you do it right.
Talk about bad music. This is bad music.
This is good music.
What is this music?
Listen to it.
So you can party to some stomp down, butt bump and rock and roll, rhythm and blues. The boys are back in town.
Makes sense.
The boys are
The boys are back in town.
That's right. The boys are back in town. Not all of the boys. Some of them are back in town. We will explain. We just get that out of the way now.
Let's do it.
All right. So here's what happened, guys. We've been trying to figure out how we're going to tackle today's show. We are back after a 2-week vacation. A little bit over 2 weeks because of our trip over to Joint Base Langley Eustis, which we'll get into as well. And we wanted to. There's so much to catch up on that we felt like maybe we should just dive in and do it. And then we thought about it and we said, let's just take our time, man, and let you guys know what's been going on in our lives. Here's what happened. When we went out to Virginia, Gorgeous George, if you haven't noticed already, goes, and I'm hosting the show. The reason I'm hosting the show is because my brother had a little accident. He tore his patella tendon.
No.
Yeah. And can I get you to raise your mic a little bit, Chase?
Yeah.
And he's okay. He will probably be doing the show starting next week, but from home using this machine. It's called the Codec machine. He can do it from there. But for now, we just wanted to give him a couple more days off so it could be a solid 2 weeks for him to just get better and not have to worry about all this stuff. So he's his pain level isn't as bad, but he just can't really move his leg right now. It's kind of has to stay straight all the time. It's a little immobile. So it's be uncomfortable to get him to come all the way out here and all that stuff. So he gets his stitches out, I think, on Monday.
Good.
So George will be joining the show hopefully next week, early next week, we'll see. And that's why George isn't here. Our trip. We went to Joint Base Langley Eustis. Thank you very much for hosting us again. This is George and I and Stitch's third time. Dan Thomas was your first time coming out there. I mean, these people take care of us. They're great. Meeting all the soldiers, all you guys out there are just so incredible hearing your stories. Everybody has a different story. Thank you very much to the fighters that came out with us, Misha Tate, Colby Covington, Paul Felder, and of course Stitch, who always comes along with us. And then our team that we had Dan, Tom there, and we had Juliet helping out, and we also had Brian Butler. So it was a really good time, and we got to do a lot of cool stuff, host our fight party. We gave away a lot of stuff. Dan, what were your thoughts on that trip?
Dude, for me it was life-changing. I mean, not only is it something that obviously everybody can get something out of, but, you know, I've had a lot of family members serve, you know, go to war even for our country. So, you know, seeing the sacrifice up close and not ever having to go was kind of a weird gap. And although obviously we didn't, you know, go and enlist in the military while we were there, but we got to see a lot of things that maybe even other military members don't necessarily get to see. So just that alone was crazy and life-changing, man. Really appreciate you guys bringing me on. It was really fun documenting, you know, everything that went down there. It was a blast, man. It was a blast.
And we've told you guys a lot about this base, these two bases, and what some of the things we've done in the past. So we won't really bore you too much with too many details. But if you want to go on MMAjunkie.com, on the front page, Dan Tom has written kind of a review of everything we did. It comes with pictures and all kinds of stuff. I think it's about 4 pages, right?
Yeah, you might even learn some things aside from some funny stories. You might even learn some things if you read it too.
So yeah, go check that out, and you can learn some stuff about our little trip and all the fighters that came along. It's a really cool read. I haven't actually read it yet because we've been getting ready for the show, and it just dropped this morning. But I went through some of the pictures, and right away it took me right back to where we were. So that's a little story on our trip there. And what happened to George. So George will be back.
What happened to George? How did it happen, though?
We can't really get into too many specifics.
Was he getting into a helicopter or something like that?
No, he just sort of slipped a little bit and just awkwardly fell.
Okay.
So
what's the part you can't get into? Is that like
how it happened?
Okay. Is that because of him? Is that because of him, or is that like some
both? A little bit of both. But
all right. I won't push too hard.
Trust me, we take commercial breaks and
on air.
Happens.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm not going to put you on air. The best part of an injury is the story of the injury.
It definitely is.
Yeah,
the best part of the scar, right?
Mm-hmm.
On today's show, guys, we'll be joined by Bellator lightweight Adam Piccolotti. He fights Yoti Yamuchi at Bellator 183 in San Jose, California, at the SAP Center. Beneil Dariush, who fights Evan Dunham at UFC 216 here in Las Vegas on October 7th. He will be our second guest, but those two guests are in the second part of the show, which leaves the first part of the show for you guys to call in, sound off. You know the number by now, but I'll repeat it, 866-522-2846. Maybe you guys are rusty like us. We're definitely going to have some mic rust that happens. 866-522-2846. You can give us a call, get in that queue, and sound off. I mean, a lot of stuff's happened while we were gone. I imagine one of the first things you guys are going to want to get into is that Triple G Canelo fight, John Jones's troubles, UFC Fight Night 116. We can talk about it all. And if you have questions for Chase Kobrin, who you're a what are you a
heavyweight?
No, you're a vet, or what was it?
Industry veteran.
Industry veteran.
Industry veteran.
And I didn't know John Jones had troubles. Is that a thing?
Yeah, and get this.
That's why I heard that.
Tomorrow, we're going to speak to John Jones.
Oh,
sick. Not the one you're thinking of, though.
Oh, the one with the silly mustache?
Yeah,
nice.
at John Jones.
Nice. You know what?
He's going to tell us about all the crazy shit that's been going on in his life, which if we've ever heard him speak before. We've had him on the show before, and I talked to him a little bit here and there on Twitter, and he's really, really funny.
He's a game developer, right?
Or he's one of the guys that made Gears of War 3, I think.
Nice.
He was part of that. And he's just got a really good sense of humor, but his tweets are just so hilarious when it comes to all that
mustache,
stuff.
too.
Very sick mustache. So he'll be joining us on tomorrow's program. And it seems like Joe Lizon will also be joining us.
Nice.
So
sick ears.
We'll cap the week there, and then we'll start fresh, guys, on Monday and start talking about everything that's coming up. But until then, you're welcome to call in and talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. Danny, today's show is going to be a little bit different. Danny's back east, but him and I have to kind of communicate a little bit, so he'll let me know when people are on hold. But until then, guys, Triple G Canelo, you guys catch it?
Yeah.
Yes.
What are your early thoughts?
Oh boy, I'm just gonna go fan guy. Can I go fan guy?
Yeah, go please.
I'm just gonna go fan guy. It was obviously a great fight. The two guys were throwing.
Tactical.
It was tactical. I don't know if I had a blast watching it for some reason. I couldn't fully engage in like the fun factor of the fight. I thought that Canelo landed some big shots, but looked kind of lazy throughout the fight. Which I couldn't really figure out why. Triple G has a chin on him. We can say that. The announcers were kind of trashing Canelo a little bit, which I kind of found surprising. And I thought Triple G clearly won the fight. And it's at the very end, you got left with that pit in your stomach. You go, oh yeah, that's why we don't watch boxing. Got it. That's where that's my abridged version of start to finish. But obviously a great fight. I'm a fight fan, period. But at the very end, I was like, oh yeah. I mean, like, it's all kind of inconsequential if there's not a finish.
Well, we'll go right to left over here on the panel, and for me,
right to wrong.
Right to wrong. Yeah.
But go ahead.
I kind of co-sign with everything you're saying. The first time I watched it, what really came out of it for me was I felt like it depends on what style of boxing you like, how you can call that fight. I thought it was pretty close. I'm gonna lean towards Triple G, but I could see how people can call Canelo. It's just there's no way you can call it the way it was called by Adelaide.
Yeah, was it 118, 112?
That was just ridiculous. You can give us any explanation you want. It's just not gonna make sense when you go back and watch that fight. And that's another topic we'll get into, what's going to happen to her because of that. I mean, you just have one guy that was just throwing bombs. I think he was thinking he was going to catch Triple G with one of those and it was going to be lights out, but he just didn't look like a guy that was prepared to go 12 rounds. Triple G looked like a guy that knew he was going to go 12 rounds, and he took quite a few shots to the dome in the process. Really good body shots that I think a lot of people didn't realize what those body shots were doing, how massive they can be. Dan, you felt body shots in the past. You know what that does to you. Sometimes they don't look as pretty on TV. They don't get counted the way they do. But I'm okay with Triple G getting the nod there. I thought he did just enough. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, Ryan Couture almost made me poop myself with a body shot, but that's another story for another time, kids. No, this one...
That was at a bar, though, right?
Well. Well.
Pooped all over the bar.
Oh, easy. But no, this one actually reminded me, guys, of the recent fight between Amanda Nunes and Shevchenko, the rematch, and the fact that you had a fight that could be argued either way, but ultimately it's sullied and kind of disserviced by a bad scorecard, right? You can make arguments one way or another. That's not the crazy part, you know, if you had it for Canelo, like you said. But it's the fact that you have a bad judging scorecard, which kind of sullies it and leaves us to fight each other over things like ring generalship, where we just chase our tail in a circle, when really it's all about a judge giving a bad card at the end of the day.
It was, and because of that, we've seen Adelaide Bird get put on the shelf a little bit here. Even not just boxing, going over to MMA. And you know what, guys? Even if I think it's the right move, I think it's the best move for her in general. I just take her out of that equation.
It's certainly not the best move for her.
I think it is.
That's her job. Goes.
I know, but I sometimes when there's so much going on, whether you were right or wrong, I think it can get in your head. So I would say just give her same thing like like police officers, right? When they're in a shooting or whatever, and they tell them, hey, we're not saying it's your fault, but you got to take a little bit of a break.
That's a totally different.
But the mindset. What I'm saying is, I know it's totally different, but what I'm saying is the mindset of having to get right back in and do your job, with all these people saying all these things about you. I think the best thing, there's too much on the line. Let her get her shit together right now and just figure things out.
Okay, so she's going to get her shit together by sitting there and hearing this nonstop and never getting a chance to move past it. So she's going to sit in this shit.
Yeah.
Where people are going to talk about it. And the last judge she made was a terrible one. She's not going to get a chance to move past it.
But you have to do something. If you're the commission, you have to do something because the fans are screaming and yelling.
It's not about Adelaide Bird. It's about boxing, and it's about the way these judges are trained and the way...
It's a lot harder to call than MMA, I think. Boxing.
She missed something there, but it's about... There's a certain level of... I think it's safe. You can't really avoid corruption. I'm not saying what was corrupt here, right? But just look at Teddy Atlas literally losing his marbles over that fight. Like, he's sick of it. This is one of boxing's greatest pioneers, right? He's there, he's talking about it.
We saw him do that with the Pacquiao fight as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's fed up. And how are you supposed to get new fans when the old heads are fed up? And then we get introduced with the same situation that he's frustrated by. So it's not a way to get new fans. And then, like, it's a systematic problem. It's not an Adelaide Bird problem. That night was an Adelaide Bird problem.
That night it was, yeah.
But you have to look at it's the difference between...
Overall, she hasn't been the worst judge ever.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's the difference between treating the symptom and treating what's causing it, right? Treat what's causing this. Because bad judging is just a symptom of a systematic problem.
But we all agree that wasn't even remotely close to the way that fight played out.
No, but why?
Right?
How did that happen? Because she's not a bad... Well, I can't... I mean...
Bob Bennett will tell you that she's been on more right scorecards than not. And
then how did that happen?
That could be one of those things where it's where you kind of put a view. It's all about perspective, right? You can take one number and put a spin on it, but you can take that same number and make the opposite spin. Now, what I think, like you said, it's a symptom and it's part of a greater system. And the sad part is, you hear guys like Bob Bennett talk like they're doing the right things. They're changing these judges out, but kind of like a podcast, for example. I just recorded my own podcast last night, and I always we'll talk about the cards, betting from top to bottom, but I'll start from the prelims, and by the time I get to the main event, I'll notice a lot of times that my luster's not there. I don't have the same energy because I've to spend this whole entire card, and by the time I get to the actual main event, the worth talking about, that it should be on paper the most worth talking about, I don't have enough energy. And you hear that the commission understands these things, but I don't know if they're giving these guys enough breaks or they're making them judge too many fights leading up to that, because by the time they sit down, now this is, I'm going to criticize Bird here, but it actually defends her and defends the corruption angle where, we get to sit, in the tough gym, right? It's a really intimate setting, and there you get to kind of get a real close look at the judges, and you can kind of see. And I was spending time, and Adelaide Bird was there, one of the judges there, Tony Weeks, other common cast of characters, and I was watching their faces and their engagement. And at the end of the day, it's all speculation, right? You could have a guy that looks like he's got a great record of judging fights, and he looks like he's watching, but his scorecard is garbage, right? Or you can have somebody who looks like they're kind of checked out, or they just don't understand what they're watching, and somebody understands martial arts and spends time analyzing it like a judge for a different purpose, but analyzing as much, if not more, footage than a judge. I get the fatigue there, but I also can kind of tell, whether it's through their actual scorecards or even the way they're kind of judging a fight. I'm like, makes you kind of question, like, do they understand what's going on when this fight hits the ground? Do they know what they're looking at right now? But yeah, it's even less defensible because these are boxing judges, and we're talking about a boxing event here, guys. Well, one of the biggest events all year.
It's the biggest event.
Yeah. No.
The biggest
it should have saved
boxing
it.
match.
It was the biggest boxing match, and it should have taken the bad taste for the boxing purists. And this is the problem with that fight. It should have. It was supposed to be the mouthwash, right? Get rid of Mayweather, McGregor. This is what boxing's supposed to be, and then it just came in with exactly what everyone hates about boxing.
Yeah.
And the last three big events have been that way. I mean, I'm not talking about Joshua and Klitschko. That was a great fight.
Right.
There's some great. But a lot of these are finishes too. Like the ones that go the distance usually leave a bad taste in people's mouth. I mean, look, or if they don't, or even if this one did too.
Some of the greatest fights that when you talk about some of the greatest fights ever, a lot of times, even in MMA, it's fights that go to decision that we talk about. A lot of people forget that. In boxing, what's the one fight that the one that didn't go to decision that we always talk about? It's Hagler-Hearns, right?
Yeah.
3 rounds. How
right.
fucking long ago was that? But think about all the other great fights that we've had. It's really weird, man. It really comes down to what you like. Let me ask you guys this, though.
Yeah.
Had Triple G been named the winner of that fight, would anybody want to watch a rematch?
Yeah.
You would watch it?
Yeah. Well, what's the other option? What's Triple G?
Well, not right away, right?
I would be less inclined than the other options.
It was a good fight. I mean, it was technical, but it was
an okay fight. I wouldn't say it was super fun. I guess that's my problem with the whole thing. It was a good fight, and it was the two best guys out there in the division. I think
got your money's worth though. You ordered it, probably at your house, right?
Yeah, I was fine with that. Yeah. I was fine with it. But really, this is my other big criticism of boxing. I didn't even watch the other fights.
Yeah, that's tough too. Yeah, same here.
Like same here. I mean, that's the live crowd. You can go to, I think it was the Mayweather McGregor fight.
Empty.
Somebody told me it was like maybe 500 to 1,000 people, like 2 fights in.
Yeah, that's how that.
Even that doesn't even happen in MMA. There's more than that.
That's true. MMA did a good job of fixing that issue, by the way.
And it's been that way, though. I mean, I remember going and watching, when Tyson got out of prison to fight McNeely and stuff. I go to parents' houses, friends to watch boxing fights, and it was always the same thing. And there would always be that one hardcore would be like, "Hey, listen, kid, you want to watch some of the best fights? Sometimes the undercard are some of the best fights." And it was true. I would watch guys that I can't remember their names till this day because they weren't promoted, and had some of the best fights in the undercard, but it just shows you how long the evolution process kind of hasn't been going on, I guess.
It has gotten a little better, though, boxing, as far as undercards go. They've been trying a little bit, and I think they took that page from mixed martial arts, but at the end of the day, they know that 98% of that card's being sold because of that.
Right, I get that. But
in MMA, that doesn't happen. A lot of times we go, that's a sexy main event, but I need something.
Yeah.
We say that all the time.
Well, we get that. The main event in MMA is the main card, usually. Especially now with the lack of major star power actually actively fighting. You're getting 2 title fights in every single card now. It's happening again at 216. You're getting an interim belt, and you're getting the record breaker right beneath that, which I think is funny, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's one of the things I did want to bring up, so let's just jump right into that. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think I've always said this. I think the UFC is trying to prove a point to Demetrius Johnson here. the whole Ray Borg thing, the whole him fighting for this, it doesn't make sense. And I think they're trying to show him that he can't carry a card, and they're not going to put him as a headliner. And that's just kind of the way it is. Look, he's the best fighter out there, and I think he's proven that time in and time out. And I don't think it's his fault that these fights aren't as competitive. Well, it is his fault because he's just that much better than everybody else. These aren't the most competitive fights, but that's kind of why it's uninteresting sometimes.
You know, we've heard before from the UFC that usually the bigger weight class will go on top. And it's not always like, it doesn't always work that way. But in this case, I mean, it kind of, I see both sides of it. I think if you're going to break a record and you have a guy that's complaining that you're not promoting him, it's going to be rough to say this isn't the most important thing that's happening that night.
Yeah.
But they could be pushing the record. They should just be pushing the record.
Lee and Ferguson they got heat, but Kevin Lee has heat with everyone. So does Tony, really, when you think about it. But so many people are enthralled with that matchup. And I think if we polled everyone and said, if you could only watch one, I have a feeling most people would be on Ferguson Lee, right? So that being said, I mean, are they not making the right decision in the long run? I mean, how many times have we walked out of a card and said, the card was great, but we got left with a bad taste in our mouth? I don't think that Lee Ferguson fight's going to do that. It's like, oh man, it's as a good company, you would think they would put the mouse fight at the top. But I kind of get why they went the other way.
Replace Borg with TJ Dillashaw, and ask that same question.
Yeah. Then you got to go Demetrius.
100%.
So it's about the opponent.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's not tinfoil hats or anything. Because think about it, guys. You put the intention or the narrative or DJ and Dana White's history, all that aside. They're a company at the end of the day, and companies only have certain ways they can deal with things, right? Politically, and a lot of that's through actions. That's how they reinforce whether it's something that's written down or whether it's, we've all been there, right, guys? We've all had that job where we kind of get it stuck to, but we also kind of know why. We're like, well, okay, I kind of know why I got stuck with these duties this week. All right, I'm just going to take it on the chin. And so I just think it's a no simpler explanation than what Chase said there, and goes, you're right in the stance that if they maybe marketed it different with Lee Kiss. Not that I'm saying they should do this, but like they had a big silhouette of Conor McGregor on the poster saying this is going to be the next guy to face him, and they made that their angle, then that would be something. But kind of like what you said, they actually have an angle with the record, and in a day and age where we're just shoveling, creating titles, it's a scramble right now to fill these top bills for the cards for the UFC with their schedule. They're not going to get angles all the time. So when they get these angles, I feel it's important for them to embrace it. But like you guys said, they're
100%. Look, when Uriah Hall was coming off of The Ultimate Fighter, he got so much hype before he ever earned it because he was the next Anderson Silva. Just by that one time, Dana White said that. And but you know what I'm saying? In this, you have an actual little mini ninja, right? That's smashing everybody, about to break Anderson Silva's record. And they're not billing him as the next Anderson Silva. Even though he's, by all accounts, surpassed.
He's got a personality, too. Anybody who knows this kid, he's got a personality.
There's something
just
more.
Wrecking people.
There's something. I think it's honestly.
You see that face? He knows something. I think we all do.
Well, no, actually, so I'll skip past this, but I agree with you. There is definitely something beneath the surface, right, that isn't out. Mm-hmm. The best superhero movies are the ones with the best villains, right?
Yeah.
Who's the best villain in that division? Benavidez? I love Benavidez. Super talented, right?
Not a villain. It's Henry Cejudo, I think.
Or Cejudo, and Cejudo got beat by Benavidez.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he doesn't have his
Joker. A lot of people didn't think so, though, in that fight.
What?
The Cejudo-Benavidez fight.
But even so, neither one of those guys are big, sexy.
I'll watch Cejudo fight DJ again, though.
I'm down. I would too, but people aren't going to pay for it. They're just not. It lacks.
Would they pay for Benavidez? Everybody wants Benavidez, right? But would they pay for that fight?
No, that's my point.
That's the thing.
There's no. Who's the Joker of the division?
Hey, even when these fights and these scenarios don't happen, there's a lot to that. Like look at Uriah Faber and Kid Yamamoto. That never happened. But when they're trying to make arguments for 145, why you should watch the WEC or why Uriah Faber was the best, what do they all say? Well, I mean, he's the best, but, there's also this guy, Kid Yamamoto, in Japan, and, the scene's growing, and that would kind of spark the conversation. And these guys weren't even in the same organization fighting, but, to your point, Chase, I mean, when you have that villain and that kind of dynamic, it builds everybody. Everybody benefits from that.
100%. Look at good, I hate to go back to Batman. We were talking about Batman earlier, though.
Oh, yeah, we were.
The two best Batman movies were the ones with the best villains. Both Joker, right? Well, I'm going to go back to Tim Burton. But Heath Ledger made that movie.
Stay cool.
Right? Oh, that's a stay cool.
I got into
chill.
Oh, that was the worst.
but that was the worst, right?
Yeah.
My point exactly.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Thank God, Danny. Yes.
You know, it's not so much that I didn't like this movie, why I hate this song.
Good villain, Jim Carrey.
I have certain songs that really bug me. And what I've realized throughout the year is they're somehow equated to something that was going on in my life.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those songs.
So what happened
I remember it was over a summer. It's probably like a girl breaking up with me
Yeah, I was
or
gonna
something
say, what
like
was
that.
your name?
But this song drives me nuts.
Share the story.
No, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I swear I would
can
tell
you share a sad story under, like, with this song playing underneath it real quick?
A sad story?
Yeah, so something that's, you know, just kind of like a moment and goes.
You want to know the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me?
I do, goes.
Oh, yes.
When I was... God damn, how did we get here? We were just talking about...
Goes, please.
We used to go to this, like, country club thing back in Orange County when we were kids. My mom would drop us off there, and they had, like, racquetball courts and big Olympic-sized swimming pool. And George... The rule was George got to go with his friends, but he had to bring me.
Pre-chunk.
So I went with George. We all go into the pool, and I didn't know how to swim, so I kind of stayed on the shallow end. George would go do his thing with his friends and just keep an eye on me. It's time to leave, so I went to go change. I went into the locker room. I remember exactly what I was wearing. These white swim trunks.
You wear those.
Pull them down, got nothing on, right? I'm like Stewie Griffin, just bare bottom. I was like 5 years old. And next thing I know, 5 girls my age come walking in. I'm walking naked right there. And they just start like giggling, and oh my god, it's a naked boy. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I didn't even think to like grab my trunks or nothing. I just wanted to get out of the situation. I ran, screaming basically, cannonballed into the pool. Forgot I didn't know how to swim. They had to pull me out. I don't think George pulled me out. I think it was like a lifeguard. I think he knew right away that this is just not right. So it wasn't like I was drowning, but he pulled me out and put me on the asphalt.
Still naked.
Still naked. Nobody thought to put a towel on me or anything like that. And I just remember, I don't fucking remember. I remember it, dude, how embarrassed I was, how red I was. I was like a lobster. And yeah, that sucks. Fuck this song, man.
Let me tell you something. That song's better now.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to think of that story every time I hear the song.
Yeah?
And the fact that I love the song already.
I imagine the slow motion jump into the water as the song's hitting right here.
Yeah.
You know what? I will say this. I don't think I've ever jumped that far in my life, even as an adult. I went fucking far, you guys. Anyway, Danny, I guess this is probably a good idea to just take a break to this shitty song.
Leave the audience with that story in your head.
The number to call in, guys, 866-522-2846. Give us a call. We can still get your call in. Our guests are in the second hour of the show. Still have a lot of things to talk about. Don't act like you didn't miss us. Call in. We'll be right back on MMA Junkie Radio. Sirius Rush 93.
There is so much a man can tell.
compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Get the radio channel numbers for NFL and Major League Baseball games sent directly to your smart device. Go to SiriusXM.com/sports now. Then click Add to Calendar. You'll even get links directly on the SiriusXM app. Hey guys, really quick, I just want to send out our thoughts and prayers. A lot of stuff has happened while we've been gone. Want to send those out to all the victims of Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Maria. Is it officially hurricane over there in Puerto Rico? It looks like
it just got crushed.
And the earthquake in Mexico. I mean, it's a lot of destruction going on out there.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah,
that's pretty wild.
You've been through hurricanes before,
I was
right?
born and raised. Born and raised in Miami Beach. Lived through them. Lived through Andrew, which I told you guys before was just like a day off of school for me because I was a kid. But I didn't realize how bad that was going to be. And when Irma was coming, it was one of those situations that it was scary because my family's still there. I live on an island, right? Like in between
the Keys.
No, it's kind of like the Keys. It's like if you zoom real in on Google Maps on Miami, you'll see little islands kind of in between land areas. And my dad's house flooded out. And of course, he just paid off his house this year. And he's like, "Oh, we don't need mortgage insurance anymore, or flood insurance."
Oh, you
so
serious?
he got rid of it. It's like $15,000. It's really expensive. It's like earthquake insurance in California. It's ridiculous.
But it's coming, right?
Yeah. Well, this is my father, who's not listening to the show, by the way. Doesn't know what I do for a living at all.
He doesn't?
I don't think so. I don't think he cares.
At all, really?
I do not have a great relationship with my father, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
I mean, no, it's not that we don't, like, I love him and he loves me, but I don't think he's interested in learning a lot about me, and it makes me...
That sounds like love. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, me and Chase are in the same boat, but we don't want to step on our second segment, guys, because Goes isn't the only one sharing. So I'm just kidding.
Cue
the music, Danny.
Is that music? Well, yeah. I mean, man, that sucks. I really like you, so obviously I like your father along with that. And
he's an interesting dude. But yeah, they So here's what actually happened.
The new rule.
No, not enough school was let off, but Irma I mean, here's what happened in Andrew. When Andrew hit, it wasn't supposed to hit where it hit, which is why it had created so much damage. Like, it came real big, but then it hit a different spot, which wasn't as prepared, in Homestead, I think it was, and it just wiped them out, right? And Irma was supposed to be worse. Irma was like twice the size of Andrew, and at the last second, it was going to go straight over the place I grew up in, and it veered west a little bit, and it hit like the west coast of Florida. And, thank God everyone I know is safe, but a lot of people aren't. A lot of animals aren't. A lot of, there's a lot that goes on. Hurricanes are terrifying, but I'm more scared of tornadoes. And get this, in that hurricane were little, like, mini tornadoes that started to form.
Holy crap.
It was awful. Like,
now, what do you mean by mini tornado? Because have you ever seen the ones that we get?
Like Dust Devil thing?
Yeah,
Typhoon.
Like something bigger than that, though, right?
It was, there's a photo.
I've gone through one of those. I used to have a convertible, and I had no way around it. I swear to God. I went, and it was in Santa Ana, California.
The worst idea.
It's I guess a Dirt Devil, is that what they're called?
I don't know.
But it was tall. It was about the size of to the roof.
You drove right through it in your
I had no choice.
convertible?
I had no choice. I went through it, and I just got hit with a lot of rocks. I remember I had cuts on my face.
Earthquakes and tornadoes scare the heck out of me, but that's because I'm an East Coast guy. Like, hurricanes, you know how to deal with. You board up your windows, you take everything important, you put them up on top of your bed, and you pray for everything to be okay. But those things, what people don't realize, those are long. Like, you're in your house for long periods of time listening to chaos outside, and then you have power missing for a week or two, and you just deal with it. Whereas earthquakes, I just have this fear that the world's just going to fall in on top of me. I don't know what that's like. I haven't been through one of those. But I've been through hurricanes.
It's a lot it's a bigger... fuck, man, I don't want to say. In my lifetime, I've been through probably maybe 7, and only 2 of them were like enough where you go, whoa, that was scary. Most of the time what happens is they're really short, and George and I would just look at each other and go, you feel that? And was it a car? By the time we figure it out, we just go, it was an earthquake.
Mexico just got crushed by an earthquake.
Yeah. Mexico got crushed, man. That was really tough to see. But it was nice to see people get together and even hand by hand, man, just moving rocks, trying to save people. it just sucks that tragedy like that has to happen for people to come together.
Well, let's hope it sticks, right? Let's not. I'm not getting political at all, but let's just hope it sticks. That people remember this moment, because people come together in moments of need. What I think people need to realize is that they're all moments of need. We're all in this kind of together, and if we can help each other, I think it'll make the world better. But man, I mean, something's changing. Like, these hurricanes are coming faster and bigger than ever, and earthquakes are hitting, and it's just something's changing. I think it needs to be addressed. But I'm not a political guy, so I don't know how that works.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's so much that, but I mean, guys, it fucking rains a lot in Vegas. This is a desert. Have you guys noticed how much more it's been raining here?
I have. Things are changing.
There was a while where we could almost say it rains about 2 times a week in Vegas.
And the Dolphins are winning. You know what I'm saying? The environment.
Now you've blown my mind.
Saying,
something is weird.
Things are changing, guys.
Talk about things that are changing.
Yeah.
Carlos Condit wants a fight now.
That's awesome.
He tweeted the matchmaker. He said, hey, book me a fight. I'm ready to go. This is a name. We talked about all the names that are disappearing from MMA little by little. This is a name we need back. We need a guy that can sell a pay-per-view or at least a co-main.
Yeah.
This is your dude. This is a guy that comes out and fights. Question is, what do we do? Because you can't really give him, I don't want to say a scrub, but a lower level guy. But at the same time, we can't just say, hey, you're back? Sure, have your spot.
Give him a guy on his kind of way out so he can, like a Matt Brown, where they both can kind of be each other's retirement fight or redemption fight. You know what I'm saying? Give him that.
I was thinking another guy in a different boat. What do you think of Mike Perry?
Oh, God. Why would you do that?
Geez. Because
that's
one of those
right
guys
there.
is going to come out of there and go up the next level.
Okay, so you're going to build Mike Perry by having him knock out one
or Carlos Condit's back.
Carlos Condit takes damage. Mike Perry is a young stud that gives damage. That's a terrible move.
It's not like he's never been beaten before.
Yeah, but he can't take many more of those.
You don't think Carlos Condit can do what Alan Jouban did?
Yeah, I think not in his first fight back. Give him a chance to come back a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a bad move. I think it's a terrible move, like Chase said, but also it's a very makes sense. It does make sense though. Like, you're spot on. Like, that's a very
if you're
UFC matchmaking move. Yeah, because that's UFC would do that. They'll take the bigger names, and they're not disillusioned about the food. You know, the food chain, how it goes. It's even for us hardcores, it's still unsettling. But you know, they do their jobs there as the matchmakers, man. They'll pair those guys. Wow, that's a really good one. And so is the Matt Brown. I would say. Yeah, wow. I can't really. What's up?
Think about it.
Okay, I'll think about it. But I was going to ask you guys, what's your favorite Carlos Condit fight?
Probably oh man,
I'll give you mine because it's just random. I know you guys are going to have it. It was Hiro Mitsumura, WEC.
Really?
It's a badass fight. Go watch that on Fight Pass. Deep. Fire it up. It's an awesome back and forth. Mura gives him a hell of a fight. Is at the Hard Rock, I believe, here in Vegas. I think Condit had his grandma pass away that week. He was emotional. Comes out the Rage Against the Machine. It was just classic, man. It's classic Carlos Condit. Do yourself a favor. Go watch that fight.
How about you?
I'm looking these up now to remind me because he had a lot of really good ones. I was there for the Nick Diaz fight, which was fun.
Whoa.
I was there for the George St. Pierre fight.
You know, that one, nobody gives that one enough credit.
That was a fun fight.
They all talked about the way it ended and how much they didn't like it, but the actual fight itself.
I've got my answer. I've got my answer, but this one broke my heart, though.
All right.
So I was managing Rory McDonald, and when he fought Rory McDonald, that was the moment where Rory was going to come out, and I can finally start making some money because, you know, when those two guys were going, they were front kicking each other in the face, like they were mirror images of each other, nasty. This is Rory pre-TriStar, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is when they were going wild, when he was the water boy, right? And they were going off on each other, and he finished Rory, I think, with 8 seconds left, and Rory was putting a beating on him for a lot of that fight too. That was a typical Carlos Condit fight. That blew me away. That is the natural born killer doing his thing. That was my favorite fight for Carlos Condit.
Why don't we do this, guys? We have a caller on hold right now. This is Jim from Long Beach. What's up, Jim?
How's it going?
Not too bad. Just came back from vacation. We're happy to do the show.
Yeah, I was disappointed in the Triple G fight. I thought he clearly won the fight. It's rigged. Boxing is so rigged now. You know, they of course, if anybody was smart, that's what they would have said. Just call it a draw. So, you know, you could win a lot of money. You know, and I just don't see Triple G wanting to fight him in Vegas again. I think if they have a rematch, it should be in New York in Madison Square Garden. That way he can get a fair shake. So those judges were clearly not seeing what was really going on. I mean, he outlanded him by, I don't know, over 100 punches.
Would that really make you feel safe, though, if we were at Madison Square Garden? I mean, wouldn't we all just kind of have that same? I mean, look at the Pacquiao fight was in Australia. That still went.
No, yeah.
That was horrible.
You got to fight to the death.
That's a good solution.
Yeah, well, you're right about that. Because the judges are corrupt. You know, they should have to. I don't know what they can do. They got to get judges that aren't corrupt, I guess. You know, but I mean, it's been going on since I was, ever watching boxing. Just a lot of corruption there. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, they can't say that that was a draw. There's no possible way that fight was a draw. You know,
it's rough. But the biggest problem in sports in general is I'm not gonna miss it. The rematch. Are you guys?
This
Triple G and Canelo. I'm gonna watch it
no,
again. I'm gonna order it again,
of
and that's the problem. Is nothing ever happens because we're all junkies.
That's what they want to do.
They got us.
Of course, that's their whole thing.
But we're all gonna gather in the same room.
Rematch.
We're in the same stuff.
Yeah, we're in the same stuff.
What else you got, Jim?
I was like kind of bummed out that John Jones gets suspended again. For steroids, and they got that USADA. I know they're just like so nitpicky on everything. Everybody's coming up dirty. I mean, pretty soon we won't have any fight cards. How do they let the guy fight and then say he's on steroids? The fight has already happened, and I'm just getting sick of this whole USADA thing because all the fighters are testing dirty for some little substance. Let's think if they did that in the NFL. We wouldn't have an NFL. Everybody would be suspended. There would be no games. So if the UFC wants to keep this USADA going, pretty soon we won't have any fight cards left.
It's too late to close the door on that, man.
Well, they had to do that to regulate the sport, to make it, to get the sale done anyway. But I have a question for you guys. You guys are a lot smarter than I am. Well, definitely Dan.
Told you.
Definitely Dan. You're not nowhere near as smart as I am.
Dude, I'm way smarter than you.
We should have a smart off.
Bring it.
All right. Well, here's my real question. You can do it. We'll do it like a trivia thing. For you, Dan, how much of this has to do with also a lot of these guys popping, them not being able to rehydrate using IV bags and stuff?
I was just going to say the same thing. You can't bring up that without bringing up the weight cutting. Yeah, they go hand in hand, absolutely. And just for depending on how deep you want to unpack that, just for quick comparison, let's look at Bellator shows. They're still having stuff like a Mitrione and a Fedor issue, like the freak stuff you can't avoid. That does happen every once in a while. But aside from that,
my favorite.
It's still business as usual over there, right?
Yeah.
It's business as usual as it used to be for the UFC when they would announce a card, more or less. But yeah, I agree. You can't bring up one without talking about the other.
Jim?
Yes. Hello?
You got anything else?
I'm just, these fights, so they're just they're getting canceled.
Jim, I have a question for you.
Fight card out.
Jim, are you pooping?
Okay.
Yeah, what's that echo? You're in the restroom, huh?
And you're way too
I'm in
casual.
my bedroom.
Oh. Are you masturbating?
I'm way too... No, I'm just listening to you guys. But yeah, the fight scene is just ridiculous. So, you didn't like that? Now, the fight scene, though, is just like all the fights are getting canceled, and they're all calling them draws, or they're giving I can't pronounce her name right, but the Russian girl, what's her name? They just had the fight with the man in her.
Yep.
Yeah, she won that fight.
I thought she won the fight. Dan, did you think she won the fight?
Yep.
Chase?
Didn't watch it. I was at the arena, but I was selling
shirts. Here's the thing. I can say I thought she won the fight, but I will also say it was very, very close.
Yeah. From the sense I got was that it was also very close.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was close, but I thought she, it's kind of rigged too.
Everything's rigged, man. All right. Thank you for the call, Jim.
Okay.
Jim's probably hanging up right now going, man, that show's rigged.
Yeah, the show is rigged.
I didn't give him enough time. Danny, why don't we do this? Why don't we take our next break here? You guys are listening to MMA Junkie Radio, back from vacation, in your lives again. Serious Rush, Channel 93.
King Kong has a lot of shit on them. Like a lot, especially Goes. Here, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Oh, King Kong, you son of a bitch. We're back here on MMA Junkie Radio. Man, there are a lot of distractions going on when you do this show, you know that? A lot of things going on back behind the scenes, but we're making it work. It's a skeleton crew. I am Goes, that's Dan Tom over there on the left, and that is Chase Kobrin, an industry leader.
That's better.
You like that?
That is much
What
better.
was the other one? Veteran?
No, it was leader the whole time.
Was it?
Nope.
Yeah. What'd you guys think of UFC Fight Night 116? It's fresh in everybody's head, right?
Yeah. I was doing double duty during that Canelo Triple G for parts of it, but I watched it all from top to bottom. Had a lot of good action, a lot of upsets early in the card, and
A lot of finishes, right?
A lot of finishes, yeah, a lot of first rounders. And by the way, side note, when FS1, when they go to decision, they don't have enough time to do the post fight, for the guy and this and that. They should do the UFC version of the Street Fighter thing where it shows the two people and then the one guy's beat up and then there's the quote like you should have worked on your dragon punch. Like that would be pretty cool if they, especially if they get the rights to the music. Like dun, dun, dun,
if you're gonna do that, you gotta do the corner for Mike Tyson's Punch Out where it's
yeah,
which
great.
is the most racist video game.
It is so
ever.
racist.
Your winners that night: Luke Rockhold defeated David Branch. Luke Rockhold, guys, is he back? Is that the performance where you go, he's back?
No,
he was in trouble early on, and I actually didn't think it was going to go his way early on.
Okay, Luke Rockhold. Wow, I'm going to get in trouble if the wrong people are listening to this. But Luke Rockhold looks to be feeling himself a little bit. And I mean that, like, the last two fights I've watched Luke Rockhold. Looks a little uninterested. Looks a little like, I'm going to walk through this guy. Body language is a little bit relaxed. And I would chalk it up to confidence. And I do chalk it up to confidence. But he just lost. And he almost lost again. And both would have been by knockout, by the way. So he's fighting with his hands down. Look, he's super talented. He's super handsome, which can't be gone without. Because he's one of those guys that, as champion, if he continues to do his thing, he'll get a big promotional push, right? He's got all those pieces. He's really talented. He's a really well-rounded fighter. And he looks a little uninterested, looks a little laissez-faire. I'm worried about him a little bit. I need to see the Luke Rockhold from Strikeforce that looked like he was into it and really maybe wasn't so sure of himself. I'm not going into his head here, but he looks a little bit relaxed, and it scares me when I watch him fight right now.
Yeah,
is he back?
I don't think so either. I agree. Like I try not to get too much into the speculation. Oh, the look on his face. But I was one of those people when the fight was going on live where I go, I don't like the look on his face. Like I was audibly saying, I was the only person in the room. I was going, I don't like the look.
I do that a lot.
If my computer screen might have been open to a betting website, and it was one of those things where I would have just, even though I picked Rockhold to win and he did win, I would have bet money on Branch right there because he didn't look into it. He didn't look sure of himself because perhaps he was too sure of himself coming in, kind of like what Chase said. And then you saw he almost got ousted by the left hook, the same punch that ousted him last time, the punch that he should have known, he should have known better facing David Branch that was his best punch, and that was for Gigi. But I didn't like what I saw. He's never had the greatest defense, but it almost seemed like we saw even a digression, which I don't, I want to chalk that off to he was working with Henry Hooft, not knocking on Henry Hooft, but when a fighter changes camp, there's that adjusting fight, right, guys? There's that adjusting period. I'm hoping that's what it was for Rockhold, but if I was speculating, my speculation would be more in line with Chase's.
Shout out to Gigi, who's listening, apparently, in the background there, so hope you feel better.
Nice.
Keep that leg elevated, and let's get on with this card a little bit here. More Anthony Smith defeated Hector Lombard. Ooh. That fight was not going Anthony Smith's way early on. We saw Hector Lombard that we wanted to see for a while.
No fights go the first round the way that whoever's fighting Hector Lombard wants him to go. That's the way that works.
Even into the second round a little bit. Like Hector was more aggressive, but Anthony wasn't really using the distance. He was just letting him come in and do what he wanted. It was really weird. He mentioned it himself. He's a slow starter, but, I mean, come on. You got to put your foot on the gas at some point, right? What did you think of that fight, Dan?
He is a slow starter, and he self-admittedly doesn't like to use his reach. He's a tall guy who likes to fight from the inside. He's been getting better at it, but, yeah, I agree. First round, Hector's, and even the second round, it took toward the end to where, close the end of the second round where you see Smith start gaining momentum, and that, I don't know if you guys caught it on the broadcast, but he was screaming at Lombard between corners going...
Do you know, my
now?
Name? Yeah. Do you know my name now?
It was one step away from Eric Bana going, Hector! Like, it was one step away from that. You know?
Troy?
Yeah.
Do you know the movie Mistaken Troy? Do you guys know?
When they're raiding the thing and there's people like getting like raped and stuff in the background of Troy, and it's almost comical the way they did it.
Whoa, whoa!
Yeah, go watch back. Go watch.
Out of context quote. You just got first place.
All right.
The comical rape in the background.
This is what,
Jeez,
what the mistake in that movie is when they are raiding the beach.
Uh-huh.
If you look up at the top right-hand corner, there's a 747 flying right through the screen.
Really?
Oh, wow.
And guess what? There are no planes in that time.
No. Oh, I see. I thought it was
makes
something
sense.
else.
The bird god.
Are we getting kicked out? Because
my comment?
Yeah. They're going to
Yeah,
arrest
good
you. I hope they arrest you.
Wrapping up really quick, Gregor Gillespie defeats Jason Gonzalez. Kimura Usman defeats Sergio Moraes. Justin Ledet gets a victory. Really quick, going back to the Anthony Smith, Hector Lombard. The reason I brought that up is because our consensus picks on MMAjunkie.com, we would have went 100% had it not been for George and I picking Hector Lombard.
Really? You guys are.
I don't think we've ever done that for a card ever, and I don't feel bad about it because he gave him a fight.
Yeah.
If he got smoked, then I'd say,
he's
man,
not.
he's
not a bad guy. Don't let this go to break until everyone
30.
gives a slow clap to Uriah Hall. By the way, I
Slow?
appreciate that.
Slow's like
Regular
this.
clap. Regular clap.
Regular. All right. Yeah.
Just a good clap.
We'll
because
definitely get some of that.
let me tell you something. Uriah Hall. Oh my goodness.
A lot of heart, man.
Shout out to Eric Nixick, too.
All right, guys, that ends the first hour. When we come back in the second hour, we will have two guests, Adam Piccolotti, Beneil Dariush. Keep it locked in. We'll be right back.
was UFC 185.
Come and move that in my direction. Thankful for that, it's such a blessing, yeah. Turn every situation into heaven, yeah. Oh, you are my sunrise on the darkest day. Got me feeling some kind of way. Make me wanna savor every moment slowly, slowly. You fit me, tailor-made, love how you put it on. Got the only key, know how to turn it on. The way you nibble on my ear, the only words I wanna hear. Baby, take it slow so we can last long.
Tú eres el imán y yo soy el metal. Me voy acercando y voy armando el plan. Solo con pensarlo se acelera el pulso.
Oh yeah, ya me está gustando más de lo normal. Todos mis sentidos van pidiendo más. Esto hay que tomarlo sin ningún apuro. Despacito, quiero respirar tu cuello despacito. Deja que te diga cosas al oído.
All right, we're back here on MMA Junkie Radio. I'll pause for a second to let all the ladies put their clothes back on. Maybe some guys. That's your go-to, right, Dan, at karaoke?
Well, yeah, kid. My accent translates really well for this one, so.
We're going to get straight to the interviews, guys. We have Beneil Dariush, UFC lightweight. He's on hold. He's going to be facing Evan Dunham at UFC 216 in Las Vegas, October 7th. I can't wait to see that. I'm going to get to see that one live. Let's bring him on. Beneil, are you there?
What's up, guys? Good to hear from you.
Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. I am Goz. I have Dan Tom with me and industry leader Chase Kobrin.
Yeah.
Good to have you back on the show, Beneil.
Thanks, guys. I enjoyed listening to you guys on the break. That was a pleasure.
That is the real show, my friend. What goes on in the break is what we're actually like, and what we do here on the air is more a little bit more buttoned up, right?
I think so.
I think so as well. Beneil, so you got a big fight coming up. It's a fight that Evan Dunham, I believe on our show, we gave him a bunch of names, and he said, you know, the guy that I would really like to fight, and it was very respectful. He said Beneil Dariush. He goes, I think it would just be a really good matchup. When a guy does something like that, Beneil, when they say, I specifically want this guy, whether it's out of good nature or not, does it kind of motivate you just a little bit more, knowing that there's a guy out there that wants that certain style?
Yeah, he's basically saying, like, yeah, this is a good fight for me. I can beat this guy. So I don't care how respectful it is. At the end of the day, it's very motivating because he's saying he's got the style to beat me, to shut me down.
And that, when you heard that news, like, what were your thoughts that went through your head?
I was like, all right, so let's do this, because I get called out a lot, and I always say, let's go, and whoever calls me out, because I'm trying to be pretty consistent with the fighting. This is going to be my slowest year, so when he called me out, I was like, okay, let's do it. I told my manager, I said, yeah, I'll do it. I just need to fight it on this date. That was the only thing I had, was I had to fight, I think it was after September, just because I came off a loss.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to take some time off and then jump back in there. So that was my only condition. So it just got me really pumped up to fight.
You know, let's talk a little bit about that. And the Barbosa fight, it was going your way. You know, it was a really good fight for you up until that moment. Even though the outcome wasn't exactly what you wanted, are there any positives that you can take out of that fight? Because up until then, a lot of people were saying, wow, Beneil Dariush, he looks great.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know how to say it. Like, positives, when I lose, I always come back stronger, so I know there's that, but the loss just sucked. I felt really good in there. I felt my striking was on point. I felt like I was the better fighter, and then he turned that around. He was able to capitalize on a mistake, on a moment of mistake on my part, and he just took over the fight. So good on him, but yeah, this fight is more frustrating than anything else. It's hard to look for the positives, but there are positives. It's just got to get back into the gym, work harder, and see that you made progress.
Going back to the gym and starting that new game plan of not just who you're fighting, but just Beneil Dariush in general. In situations like this, can you just say maybe it was a moment where you made one mistake and got caught and not necessarily have to go back and reinvent yourself or anything like that?
I don't know about reinvent. I don't try to reinvent myself. I try to go back, and I have a lot of different bases. I used to be a jiu-jitsu guy. I worked really hard on my wrestling, really hard on my striking. I just feel like that's kind of where I want to get back to. I want to continue to improve all those things and putting them together. I feel like I have a decent understanding of wrestling, decent understanding of striking and jiu-jitsu, but I'm still not there where I can put them together as perfectly as I would like, and I think it showed in the Barbosa fight when I got caught with that knee, because I should have been able to transition to the takedown better. So that was a mistake. If I'm going to reinvent myself in anything, it's just being able to put my skills together better.
If you were to look up and down your record, is there a fight that you can point to where you could say that was the best Beneil Dariush, and if I can just replicate how I felt going into that fight that night, guys would be in a lot of trouble?
Shoot, that's a tough question, because my first fight, obviously in the UFC, Charlie Brenneman, I was just super excited to be there. There's James Vick. With James, I was really motivated. I was really angry because I was coming off of a loss like 5 weeks before that, or 4 weeks before that, to Chiesa, and it was a loss that, similar to the Barbosa fight, I was dominating the fight. I was controlling the fight, and then I went into and then I lost in the second round. So those are some of the fights I would say. I felt really well prepared against Rashid, because we knew Rashid Magomedov was such a tough guy. It just didn't show as much because the fight was in altitude, and I just felt really drained after the first round.
That's pretty interesting. Do you have that ability to go back at fights and remember exactly what your mindset was, your emotions and all that for every single fight?
Yeah, I mean they're pretty defining. I'm not going to be able to step inside that octagon for the rest of my life, and when I step in there, it's something I don't want to forget. So, the majority of the time, I do remember what the feeling was like. To be honest, some of my not amateur fight, but before the UFC when I fought, some of those I've forgotten, but I have a pretty good feel on most of my fights. Yeah.
Fortaleza, Mexico. Is it good to be fighting stateside again?
Oh man, it's so nice. It's really nice, to be honest with you. I love traveling, don't get me wrong, but when you're traveling and you're sucked up and you're cutting weight, there's no joy in it. There's no oh yeah, look, awesome beach in front of me. Yeah, that doesn't do it for me. Mexico City was a really nice place, awesome place to hang out, good place for food. Lots of nice people, but I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go eat, I'm going to walk back to my room, I'm going to go eat, walk back to my room, and it was just that. So when I'm cutting weight, it's not as lively, no matter where I am.
UFC lightweight Beneil Dariush joins us on the program. He's going to be fighting Evan Dunham at UFC 216 here in Las Vegas on October 7th. I'm going to turn you over to my co-host, Dan Tom. Dan, what do you have for Beneil?
Hey, Beneil, you were speaking earlier about, Styles matchup with Evan Dunham, and I guess I had a question about that Styles matchup. You've seen a lot of different looks, obviously, you faced good grapplers before. You've done really well against good grapplers before, obviously, and you faced southpaws before too, but Evan Dunham is a southpaw, and the thing that jumps about off the paper to me this matchup is we have a pairing of two southpaw strikers, which you don't typically get, and I don't think people... I know fighters have a different opinion on this. Hopefully I can get yours, but, how do you feel about being paired up with another southpaw? I know some southpaws like it because it opens up, your leg kicks and all these other things, but, others don't because you predicate so much of your game on, your orthodox fighters you get in your gym and whatnot. How do you feel about, southpaw versus southpaw matchups and maybe Evan Dunham in particular?
As far as fighting southpaws, I really don't mind. I have so many southpaws in my gym. For the longest time, my my number one training partner was Rafael dos Anjos, and I used to have wars with him. Right now, I have Lyoto. I spar with Lyoto quite often. I have teammates like Arthur. I have guys like Giga Chikadze who fights in Glory. He can switch stances, and he wins a lot from southpaw in his fights. So I'm not too worried about fighting a southpaw. And as far as Evan Dunham goes specifically, I see some. He does a lot of good things with his striking. Obviously, improved boxing and improved footwork. So I'm just looking forward to get out there and see if I've made the right adjustments to shut down his game and implement mine.
Awesome. I mean, I know obviously, you know, all fighters are gonna feel confident in whatnot, and you don't want to give away too much of your game plan. But can you speak about maybe your training? Is there anything maybe, you know, new, or maybe just going back to certain basics that, you know, focusing on as far as prep, or even, yeah, you know, technical stuff about the fight? Is there anything new prep wise you have for this fight?
One thing that was different, I had a really long time to prepare for this fight. I was told about it really early. So what I started doing, because normally I'll do sprints once a week to get ready as far as conditioning. That's one of the conditioning things we do. But instead of that, since it was such a long period, if I did sprints for, I don't know, 15 weeks, my body would start to break down. So what we decided to do was we would do just regular runs and try to get in like 4 to 5 miles once a week until we got about 6 weeks out from the fight. And as I was doing that, I felt my weight come off a lot easier. I felt less tension on my body, which I really like. I'm really light right now, and I feel really fast, really explosive. So that was an interesting thing. I didn't realize how much damage I take from doing sprints on my lower back and just my legs.
That's interesting to hear, because you've talked about even, you know, possibly moving up to welterweight before. Now that was obviously more along the lines when, you know, your training partner was the lightweight champ, the division that you fight in. But with this in mind, you obviously can't always get, you know, long camps and you know, cater to your schedule. But do you see yourself still at lightweight for the rest of your career, or is there a welterweight move possibly still in the future?
That's a tricky question, because with this discovery, with this run thing, I mean, it's going to be a lot easier to make weight. So I'm not. I don't have 170 in my mind, but you never know what's going to happen in 2 years. I went from walking around like 168, 170 when I was 24 to walking around at 185 now. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 years? I might be up to 200, and I'm going to be like, I can't make 155 anymore. It's not worth it.
Wow. Oh, wow. Hey, Benny, on the topic of training, what about Singapore? Are you going to be doing that more often?
No, that was just a cool thing I got to do because John Tuck fought there, so I got to go out there and corner him. And you know, when you're fighting, the week of the fight, you just want to sleep in. So he would sleep in, and I would wake up extra early and go get some practices. And I really liked Singapore. I really liked training at Evolve MMA. They have a pretty cool gym. They have pretty cool, 3 of them. There's three of those gyms, man. They're state of the art, showers, everything, and it was a cool opportunity just to get to see something like that.
You mentioned that this year has been a little bit slow, and it makes sense why you took the time off. But going forward, do you feel like maybe if this fight goes your way, you can slip one more in this year? And what about for next year? What would be the sweet spot? How many fights?
Minimum 3 fights, because if I'm only fighting 2 times a year, that's like once every 6 months, or it could be, who knows, I fight in the beginning of the year and then I fight at the end of the year. That could be 10 months apart. I just don't like that. I don't like the sitting out and just kind of hanging out. Not that I'm not training, it's just there's a certain killer instinct when you're constantly in camp, when you're looking to fight, when you know there's something at stake. And to be honest, I think that makes me sharper, and I like having that. And the more it's around, the more I feel I rise to the challenge. So I don't want to give that up.
All the things that you've done so far in your young career is pretty tremendous, but this is going to be the first time you get to fight in Las Vegas. What does that mean for you?
Man, I really thought this was going to happen sooner. I was expecting to fight in Las Vegas maybe 2 years ago, and they just kept sending me overseas and things like that. I'm really excited. I get to drive over there. It's like a 3.5-hour drive for me. I'll go a bit early so I can relax and just focus on training and sleeping. That's it. So I'm really happy that it's finally happening.
You know, it's weird that you bring up that 3.5 hour, because I always say that, and everybody says, no, it's not. It totally is. I don't know how it always works out. There's times where I'll stop, and it's still 3.5. There's times where I don't. I think I'm going fast. It's 3.5. That's an Orange County thing, man. Wow. But you co-sign, right, Benny?
Yeah, especially for me. I'm in Yorba Linda near Anaheim. It's a easy. Honestly, if I wasn't such a slow driver, it'd probably be shorter.
What kind of car do you drive, Beneil Dariush?
I drive a Toyota Corolla 2009. This thing has got over 200,000 miles on it. I'm driving this thing to the ground right now.
So maybe a new car with this next paycheck? What do you think?
It's a possibility. Right now, I'm working on the gym. That's where I've been putting a lot of money in, and so maybe a new car. But this thing, I'm telling you, it's gonna go till it dies. That's the plan for this car.
All right, Benny, we won't take up too much more of your time. We know you got to get your preparation in, but thank you so much for joining us here on MMA Junkie Radio. Before we let you go, would you like to thank any of your sponsors, anybody that helped you get here?
Just my teammates, and I want to thank God for, just opportunities to step inside that octagon. It's not something everybody gets to do, and just having that opportunity, I'm grateful for. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much, Beneil Dariush, for joining us on MMA Junkie Radio. He's a good guy, man. I really like having him on the show.
He is.
As I said when we were off the air.
He did.
But I knew he could hear me, but I still said it anyway. But hey, we got to get him that new car.
Yes.
That's where we got to do it.
100%. That's actually a funny story. I got a side story for that, too.
On Toyota Corolla?
On just cars in general. I sat down and had lunch with Forrest Griffin the other day, and he finally got rid of the car that he was driving his Tough One car forever.
Mm-hmm.
And
and he never washed it, right?
I don't know about that. That's gross. I mean, looking at Forrest, he probably didn't wash it, right?
Yeah.
And he gave that car to his father-in-law or something recently, and now he drives a car that doesn't even have a door handle.
How do you get in? Was it Dukes of Hazzard?
I don't know. But it's just the strangest thing of all time. And he's a real successful guy, made a lot of money. It's just not his thing. Forrest is the most normal. He's more uncomfortable with fame than I've ever sat and had a conversation with anybody.
I could sense that. I don't know him well, but I could sense that from him.
It's so strange.
Than anybody?
Than anyone I've ever dealt with. Usually people enjoy it on some level. Forrest has no interest in being famous. Or known.
I can see that. I've seen a few things that would. But he's. Well, I don't want to say he's good at faking it, but he. Yeah, I can
he's
see that.
Charismatic. And he plays it off. He knows what he's doing, but I think he'd rather be like a waiter. I think it's really what he'd rather do.
He was a cop before, right?
He was a cop, yeah.
See, that's what I don't know. That doesn't seem like his personality. And maybe that's why he stopped doing it.
It's very hard to peg Forrest Griffin.
Yeah. Let's go to the phone lines real quick. We got a call from Boston. Brian from Boston. What's up, buddy?
Hey, gents. I got a quick comment, and then I'd like to sort of expound on something. If somebody brought this up earlier in the week, I apologize, but does it seem weird to you guys that Platinum Mike Perry got a performance bonus of the night when he fought a guy on 6 minutes notice, and the guy was 15 pounds out of his weight limit? It seems strange to me. I think Platinum Mike should give the bonus to that kid who showed up so he could get paid.
Well, I have a feeling that kid will probably get a little something behind the scenes, but you're right. I mean, but you can't take away from the fact of what he did. As weird as it is for him to get somebody, or for somebody to come in on late notice, it's also a pain in the ass to get someone on late notice, right? You just spent your entire camp focusing on one thing, and then they give you something else. It can be kind of mind rattling, but I hear where you're coming from. What do you guys think?
He did what he was supposed to do. He went out there and he won, and he won in devastating fashion. And by the way, I think Mike Perry is a great upcoming prospect. And I think a lot of people are going to hate his guts. And they're going to hate his guts. I hate his guts. Just watch. From a fan, I'm just going from a fan. I watch him, the hair, the body language, the puffery, all of it just kind of irks me. But I'll watch to either watch him win or watch him lose. And he's an exciting fighter. So I think he's got a future. And he did exactly what he was supposed to do. And he took a fight. A lot of fighters are pains in the butt. I don't want to fight someone new. I trained for one style. Now, he probably just said, yeah, I'll fight anybody. And then went in there and fought anybody. And that's why they probably made him.
Yeah, just real quick, I'm saying with Mike Perry as far as I actually like Mike Perry, but I like him in the ironic way because he's everything that I wouldn't like about somebody. Him and Alex Nicholson, but they're endearing to me. I actually like them now. But about that, I'm glad you brought that up because that was kind of a slight head scratcher. But what was more of a head scratcher to me was the fact that they kept them at the co-main event slot. I think that was a bigger respect in a way. I mean, obviously it's not money, but that billing does a lot for you. Not as much with sponsors, in that sense, but it still does a lot for you. And especially when you had a matchup like a Hector Lombard, a big name, a guy you're paying a lot, versus Anthony Smith, a guy hopefully that's going to continue to make something of himself and make a name out of himself. And you had that dynamic just one slot down. I was kind of obviously my job to break these fights down. But so I was keeping an eye on the bout order, but I'm surprised they didn't change the bout order for that.
Is Hector still under that monster contract, or did he renegotiate? Like when he came over from Bellator,
he's had quite a few fights. I would imagine he's gotten somewhere.
But I mean, I think that contract was kind of groundbreaking in a lot of ways. I think it might have also been in the length of contract, but I'm not 100% sure. That may have something to do with it. I have no idea, though.
For people who don't know, Chase actually used to manage fighters, so he knows a little bit about that.
And I was actually part of that deal, that actual deal where Hector came over. I was party to everything, and that was at the time, like the biggest and baddest contract a fighter had ever signed coming over from another promotion.
Yeah.
He made a lot of money.
Brian, I know you're a pretty hardcore, not just MMA fan, but just combat sports in general. Did you order the Triple G fight?
No, dude. I've written boxing off. It's filthy. The corruption in that sport is ridiculous. I harken back almost to George Foreman versus, I think his name was Alex Schultz, and the robbery of that. I know, dude. I can't pay money.
Were you in a coma, or what's going on here?
He's hearkening real hard.
You went back way far.
That's worse than my 90s movie references.
It was. You hearkened back there, too.
Brian's pissed. It's like I picked up my black and white TV and I threw it through the window.
Proceed on your hearkening. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, you could have went like Pacquiao, Bradley, or something, dude.
No, that's why I said hearken, man. I go way back. I kind of started writing it off then. It's devoid of stars that I can relate to. It's devoid of matchups. And when you get like a boxing pay-per-view, chances are good you're going to have to sit through 325-pound, 10-round decision fights. When you get an MMA pay-per-view, if the fight is not up to your expectations, it's over in 3 rounds. And then there'll be 7 to 12 to 15 fights. So for my money, it's just MMA is eclipsed boxing.
It's a better product. It's a better product. It really is a better product from top to bottom. And you got the whole main card. We can sit here and talk about the whole main card for UFC 216.
Yeah.
Like, that's fun. We're sitting here talking about Mike Perry, but we're also talking about the Uriah Hall fight because we all watched it. Anyone watch any other fight on the Conor McGregor card with Mayweather?
I mean, I did, but I'm
Badu Jack fight, that's about it, yeah.
And Jack, just because it was one of, Mayweather's guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing.
So, Brian, going back to David and Goliath, you just thought that was a fix, and ever since then, you've just been over it?
Harkening back that far.
That's a harken.
Hey, new rule. Brian should incorporate harken into every one of his calls at least one time. It goes great with the Boston accent, that word.
Dan said it, so it's got to be a new rule. Anything else, Brian?
Guys, no, you guys have broken my balls enough, so I'll go away.
Hey, man, we have 2 weeks to make up for.
See you guys.
Later, Brian.
This guy complaining about people probably saying nice things about him for 2 weeks.
I know.
You got to take it to him. Why don't we do this? Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's do a Noob Minute.
Ooh,
what do you think about that?
A new minute?
Noob Minute.
Noob Minute. All right, man.
That's Danny's little skit there.
Let's do it.
Danny's a noob. We want to turn him into a hardcore. Along the way, he asks us questions, and we help him out.
We're going to give you the best minute of our lives, Danny.
What do you think about that, Danny?
I don't know how to follow.
Okay with it? You don't say anything?
I have not. I graduated. I'm not a noob anymore, but we're still going to call it.
What are you? You're a
casual.
You're a casual fan. All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. When we come back, we will do the Noob Minute. I forgot. Yeah, we'll do the Noob Minute, and then we'll maybe take another break, and we'll get to our second guest of the day. That's Adam Piccolotti. We'll be back here on MMAjunkie Radio, Sirius Rush 93.
The Noob Minute with Danny Okers.
Have you ever looked at the bantamweight name? It kind of almost looks like Batman weight.
All right, when we write our stoner MMA movie, that's that's totally going in there. From now on, that should be like like, bro, have you ever noticed that you fight in like the Batman weight division?
What's your favorite dinosaur and why? I asked Cub Swanson. He was into it.
It could just be like a bit that we put on the side or whatever. Like, what does our producer do when fighters are on hold? You know what I mean?
Hey guys.
Nice. I kind of missed hearing that.
Isn't it weird? It felt weird coming out of my mouth that way.
Every time he does this Noob Minute, when he comes back, he just goes, "Hey guys."
Can I try it again? Let me try.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey guys.
Nah.
Is that closer? No, lost it. All right.
Can I get something out of my system real quick?
He sounds like somebody that went to the fridge to get like some milk and just realized that there was a party going on. He didn't know about it. He just went, "Hey guys, like,
Can I do this? This is really this is important because I just went to go pee and I thought of this and I just need to get it out. The guy that just called from Boston. You know who his favorite fighter is?
Who?
Lorenz Harkin.
Lorenz Harkin. You know what his favorite movie theaters are? Harkin theaters.
Oh, come on.
Hey, that was easy.
Yeah, but it wasn't funny.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I almost
Mine was
told
really
him with a Boston accent. You do Harkin or Chowder.
Harkin or Chowder?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear him say one of those two words every time he calls.
Danny is a noob. Not anymore. It started off as a noob, but he took a test that George graded very... All right, we'll leave it there. He is now a casual fan, but he wants to graduate and become a hardcore fan, and then from there become a junkie. But Danny doesn't know that much about mixed martial arts, and we realize that there are some people listening right now that may be new to the sport and don't know everything, all the ins and the outs, the history of the sport. So Danny asks us these questions that we call noob questions, and we answer them for him without belittling him, knowing that other people on the line may never known those answers. So we try and make him into a better MMA fan. So Danny, what do you have for us today?
Okay, so today I'd like to just say this. I'm a little rusty. Just like we've all been on vacation. The Noob Minute has been on vacation, so this is definitely not a casual
The Noob Minute's been
MMA
in a coma.
fan. I know. So this is definitely going backwards. This is a noob question, 110%. It's a 3-part question, so I'll try to be really quick. So I know there are certain people that make all of the fights, like they are the matchmakers in the UFC. How did they get the job? B, who are they? And C, how do they go about, I guess, their role as matchmaker? Like, do they actually set up every single match, or is it like only the big ones? This is a question I've been kind of bumming around for a really long time.
All right, well, we'll try and tackle these questions. All right, so let's go all the way back, all right? Joe Silva actually got his job. He was the matchmaker for the UFC for a very long time. He actually got his job by writing handwritten letters to the UFC about who he felt. He was a lifelong martial artist, and he wrote these letters telling them who he felt should be next for this guy or who you should bring into the UFC. And he was so good at it that they actually brought him in, and it turned into kind of like a little bit of a part-time job, which turned into a full-time job, which turned into him retiring on a beach right now, right? Mm-hmm. He was just recently inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame, and for a long time he was just doing it by himself. They brought on Sean Shelby to help him out, and they ended up splitting the division, so it wasn't so much of a bear on Joe Silva, because as the UFC grew, more divisions, more fighters, it was just too much of a stressful job. And even at that, I'm shocked that 2 guys could hold that fort down. You would think that's a job for like 6 or 7 guys.
No, that part I don't agree with.
Dude, that's a nightmare.
I had a dinner with Joe Silva and Sean Shelby one time.
Did you?
And it was it was at UFC 118 in Boston.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're at the bottom of Legal Seafood. We rented the place out, and I sat next to the 2 of them.
You guys rented the place out to have dinner?
The bottom part. It was a big party. Like Dean used to do that. He used to bring everybody. And I asked him, I said, "Oh, you guys are so lucky. You guys get to have the best job in the world." And Joe and Sean looked at me and went, "It's actually the worst. I have to fire my friends every day." Yeah. And I went, "Oh, like, interesting." And like they both told me it was terribly hard. But go ahead, keep going.
Terribly hard and very stressful. Yeah. But from there, Joe Silva left the UFC. He was replaced with Mick Maynard, and now him and Sean. Sean kind of took the role of Joe Silva, and Mick Maynard is now kind of learning how to do it. And what I've learned from talking to some of these guys is, and especially from the fighters, is everybody kind of has their own style of how they matchmake, their own system. But that's how that came about, Danny. And yeah, they between those two guys, and I imagine Dana at the time, Lorenzo probably had some input. You know, send it in this direction, but they're the ones I think that had the bottom line in that system. Did that kind of answer your questions, Danny? There was 3 of them, right? Well,
yeah, I mean,
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I'll go then. Go. All right. So they split it up by divisions, by weight divisions. So now it's Sean Shelby was, I think, the 3rd UFC employee ever, right? Or something like that. Really early.
He's been around for a minute. Yeah.
I think he was the 3rd. He's still there. He takes a certain weight class, and the new guy, Mick Maynard, came over from, I think, LFA, was it?
Legacy.
Yep.
Okay, from Legacy, and he is now taking over Joe Silva's old role. And very hard job, and that's kind of the current state of everything right now. I just wanted to clarify where we are now.
Yeah, that Sean Shelby surprised me. As someone who watches a lot of footage, I'll be surprised, and I'll watch because I always thought Shelby came in with the WEC acquisition. At least that's when you kind of started seeing his face more. But he's been around there for quite some time. You go back and watch old footage, and I'll see him cage side there, taking notes with his own headphone on, sitting separate from Joe Silva.
I think he's the actual 3rd.
Yeah,
He's number 3.
That makes sense. And then also in watching these fights, because I went back and I watched a bunch of Yushin Okami's old fights. I'm like, wow, this guy's been around forever. And some was just kind of more for anecdotal, for fun to go back. But I remember at a certain point, Goldberg going, yeah, you know, and Joe Silva's got a whole roster of 200 fighters he has to worry about. He doesn't have time for that. And I'm like, wow, that's like almost as big as the lightweight division was like 155, almost around 150 fighters, just lightweight now, right, or something like that. Like it was just insane.
Spreadsheets look like. I always picture like, you know, when they're hunting
the
Mafia, and they have that thing up on the wall, and they got those connectors and all that. Yeah, it's got to be insane. And just fighters, it's so much different, the mentality today. You know, before you kind of just had to take whoever they gave you.
Yeah.
Now fighters have the power to be able to negotiate for certain fights. Well, I don't want to fight him. That you could never say that back in the day. You could, but you get punched for it. You still get punched for it today.
Yeah,
but to a certain extent, there's certain fighters that do hold a few cards.
You want to be agreeable. I think that's part of, like I said, I kind of touched on this before. I think part of Mike Perry getting that performance bonus was him being agreeable and saving the show and not having a 3rd major cancellation on a co-main or main event in a row. You know what I'm saying? I think that was part of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, play ball. Play ball a little bit, because at the end of the day, you're going to fight who they tell you to fight. You're under contract.
Yeah.
It's definitely the job that when people think of dream jobs, I wouldn't want that job.
I would.
You would?
I would, but
I think you can only do it so long before the stress just gets to you.
Try being a printer.
Your phone's on all the time.
Yeah.
There's fighters all over the world that are falling out of their fights calling you. When do you get a free moment?
You probably don't, but at least it's fun. I mean, at least there's something. You're using creativity. I don't know. I mean, look, they both told me. I said this to them, and they both said, you don't want this job. So you're probably right. But I think there's enough upside there where you're doing something creative and you're using passion and information to build a puzzle, you know. I think that part of it's really exciting. I would love that job.
I feel like even Dana White, even his job and I'm shocked that he's done it for as long as he has, because the stress levels from that. I know it's great to have a lot of money and a lot of power and become a celebrity, but I think you can only do that for so long, man, before that stuff starts to catch up to you. I mean, I've seen you work before. You have a pretty stressful life, and you're not Dana White.
No, but I'm a lot poorer than he is. And I work similar hours. I mean, like I'm traveling to these same events.
But you know what I'm talking about?
I'm just doing shitty
stress.
stuff. Yeah, no, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I've aged 10 years in the last one.
That's
like,
the
I
worst
understand.
part.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful.
That answer your question, Danny?
That definitely did. That's why I wanted Chase to go, because I had a feeling he was going to finish.
Yeah, I always finish
strong. What?
Yeah.
Dan seems to know a lot about you there, Chase.
Always finish.
You know you guys were so close.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, 866-522-2846. You're welcome to call in. Our next guest is going to be coming up soon, though. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts really quick. Before we do that, Michael Bisping. Win or lose, it seems like retirement may be right there. What do you guys think? And what's his legacy going to be?
Okay. You want to
Sure, yeah. I think his legacy will definitely be strengthened, you know, pre-199, where the trajectory where he was headed before, obviously. And I think he's going to be recognized, you know, as whether you like him or not, kind of speaking toward the, you know, the Mike Perry personality thing. He's going to, you know, it's a love or hate kind of a thing. I think he's going to be recognized for a guy who backed it up, in the sense of he showed up, he fought, He fought through many generations, many names, and is able to get a title when people were counting him out. And I think that's going to resonate.
Yep. Mike Bisping, great history, great legacy when he leaves. Ultimate Fighter winner. One of the greatest heels in MMA history. Great on the microphone right now, by the way. I think so. He's won his title. He beat Anderson Silva. If I were Mike Bisping, I would stare at my abs all the time, and I would just call it a day. I would win this fight. If he beats GSP and Anderson Silva in 2 of his last 3 fights, his last 3 fights would be, I think this, correct me if I'm wrong, Anderson Silva, one of the greatest wins of all time, right? Winning the actual title in a huge upset, and then beating GSP.
Can you imagine?
You're not going to get any better.
About that?
Call it a day, grab the mic, drop the mic, then pick up the mic and make money with it, and then just do your thing. He's not going to get any better than this. This is a perfect moment. Yeah. And I'm sorry, Audie and Paradigm. My apologies. I know you guys want to keep doing your thing. But the reality is this is as good a timing as any.
May actually be the greatest fighter to come off of the Ultimate Fighter if he can pull all that stuff off.
I think that's probably safe to say if he finishes like this.
All right, guys. We are going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, Adam Piccolotti from Bellator will be on the show with us.
To link into the MMA Junkie Radio Network, hit us up on Twitter.com at MMA Junkie Radio. This is MMA Junkie Radio. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
We're back here on MMA Junkie Radio, back from vacation, our first show back. We brought the big dogs in. Chase Kobrin here in studio, co-hosting Dan Tom as well. New member of the team. It's been great having him here, and boy, has he come in handy with Gorgeous George being out. So I'm very thankful to have these two guys with me. On the phone, though, we have Bellator lightweight Adam Piccolotti. He is going to be fighting Yota Yamuchi at Bellator 183 in San Jose, California at the SAP Center. And let's get him here on the line. Patch him through, please, Danny. Adam, how are you doing, brother?
Hello.
Can you hear him?
Yeah, we hear
him.
Oh, okay, I can hear him. There you are, Adam. Adam, it's great to have you back on MMA Junkie Radio. I am Goz. Dan Tom is to my left. Chase Kobrin as well, co-hosting. Let's talk a little bit about this fight, man. This is a card that a lot of people are excited to see. Anytime you get Bellator in San Jose, it just kind of feels like home, you know? And we wanted to know, as far as your career goes, it's been a minute since your last fight. Do you feel like you can still carry that momentum going forward into this fight, or is this kind of just a new obstacle?
No, I mean, I've had a little bit long layoffs in the past, you know, so it's nothing new to me. I'm really excited, you know what I mean? Like, nerves and everything are definitely there like usual, as they should be, but I'm just really excited more than anything.
When do those nerves start to kick in?
From time to time, you know, I like to say, like, throughout your days, throughout your weeks, like, if you get nervous, just put yourself in a corner, allow yourself to get nervous, you know, embrace it, feel it, get nervous as hell, and then let it go and just go on with your day so you don't stress yourself out, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I've been dealing with it here and there, and, you know, I'm on to the worst day today, which is the weight cut. I'm pretty much just getting ready to get started, but after today, I'll be freaking guns blazing, ready to go.
When the career's over, those nerves, I know sometimes they can be a bad thing, but fighters have also said it's kind of a good thing because it reminds you of where you're at. When the career is over, what do you think will replace that little high, that energy that you get from fighting?
Well, I just hope to get that with whatever endeavors I get into, you know, my business, and whether it be a gym or other little businesses that I've been looking into, you know, I want to get that with whatever I do. I just have to be interested and passionate about whatever I do, and I'll always be happy.
How would you assess your career so far? Are you pretty happy with all the results?
Yeah, sure. You know, I wish I would have finished a couple more fights that I didn't, you know, but I'm happy. I've gone out there and I've fought my ass off, and I've made improvements every fight. I think I've represented myself and my team very well. And, you know, I'm really happy with the competition that I've had up to this point, too, looking back at my career, even talking to Joe Lozon, who I just recently had the chance to hang out with and stuff. You know, I've had a pretty cool upbringing as far as, like, my opponents, you know, being pretty well matched with me along the way.
If you had to pick a fight, which fight would you say you're most proud of at this point in your career?
It's got to be Gertz, you know, just because he's so accomplished and so dangerous. You know, yeah, you know, just kind of outclassing him on my feet and really, you know, achieving the first takedown he's ever been taken down in the cage, you know, things like that. That feels really good. But then there's also the Mario Soto blood score, you know, and that one's kind of legendary. That one's going to follow me all the way for the rest of my life. So I'd say it's kind of a tie between those two.
What was it like speaking to Joe Lozon, a guy who has accomplished so much in the sport and has done so many things? He's fought all over the world. Is that a career that you would like to mimic?
And, you know, they say don't meet your heroes, you know, but that guy lived up to every expectation I've ever had. I've always looked up to him. You know, he's always been a cerebral fighter, jiu-jitsu guy, but also not afraid to get dirty, you know. Like, his style has been something I've always mimicked and looked up to. So I had the opportunity with my manager from KO Reps to go out there and meet him, and I stayed with him and trained with him, and just I was able to just pick his brain on a lot of different things, from fighting, technique, business, taxes, just everything you can imagine. You know, he was just so open and welcoming. You know, he was inviting me to dinner with his family, and, you know, we got lunch a bunch of times, and I just had a great opportunity to really talk to him and to kind of see how I can project myself down that road as well.
You know, we're going to have him on the show tomorrow, so we'll definitely share those sentiments. Joe, yeah, you're right, man. I mean, it really doesn't get better than Joe Lozon in the sport, inside or outside the cage. The guy's just got a great head on his shoulder.
Absolutely.
Now, Adam, you're an undefeated fighter, and we get a lot of fighters on the show that come on the show. They suffer a loss, and the one thing they say is, losing was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Do you ever think about that moment, and do you think you would ever be able to agree with that statement?
I mean, the way my mindset is now, absolutely not. You know, I've lived my whole career with the mentality of learn from my victories and learn from other people's mistakes. You know, I think that kind of stays true to me as a person. I've seen a lot of people around me doing stupid shit that's gotten them 10 steps backwards, you know, and I've been blessed enough to kind of have the ability to see that and not fall into the same pitfalls for the most part. So, yeah, I don't want to ever fucking lose. You know what I mean? It happens. I get it. And if somebody's better than me on that day, then it is what it is. But I'm ready to go out there and put my life on the line every single fight and just fight with all my heart and all my training to just to get those victories and to put on impressive performances. That's number one, impressive performances, and just really fight into my fullest potential. I've had plenty of wrestling matches and jiu-jitsu matches where I know I wasn't myself, and I never want that to happen to me inside of the cage.
Adam Piccolotti joins us here on the program. He will be fighting at Bellator 183 in San Jose. Let me turn it over to my co-host, Dan Tom. Dan, what do you have for Adam?
Well, Adam, I agree. When looking back at your record, it's hard not to be impressed, not just with what you see on paper, but even the deeper layers as far as, being brought up. And what impresses me even more is hearing you speak about it. Sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders. So, even though we haven't seen you since, Bellator 165 in November, something tells me a cat like you did not waste a lot of time in that time off. So, without talking about game plan or anything like that, Adam, can you maybe speak on anything in this time off that you've really kind of sharpened up, whether it be strength and conditioning, weight cut prep, coaches, training partners, anything specific in between now and then that we can, or you hope to, reap the fruits that benefited from that?
A handful of things. Number one was durability. I realized that, I'm 29 years old, so I'm entering the prime of my career. And realistically, the most important thing is for me to be healthy and 100% every single fight. All my training camps are going to be good no matter what I do, so long as I'm in shape and so long as I'm healthy. So I've been working on my durability with my coach, Mike Salemi, who's just a world-renowned kettlebell specialist and just an amazing durability coach. So that's been a big step up in my game, as well as, I've been working at AKA a lot more, and I've been working with one of the striking coaches out there, Hector Fernandez. And Hector's actually going to be in my corner this time, just because of the way schedules worked out. I was with him more than I was with my old coach, Pena, and he was able to hold for me and provide a lot of insight for me. So you can look to see some new angles and some, not new technique, it's all the same, but just some different strategy, game plan, and ways to go. Also constantly improving, especially when my injury is my mental. You know what I mean? I have to stay focused and everything in line. I need to be organized mentally. So, I'm always working with my coach, Toby Larson from FitMind, and just really staying composed even when the times are down.
Adam, thanks so much for joining us on the show. We're going to keep it a little short, let you get back to that weight cut, but we really do appreciate you having us, giving us some time here on MMA Junkie Radio.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And you guys, check out The Bomb MMA on YouTube. I'm doing weekly vlogs and technical breakdowns every Tuesday.
We will do that.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for joining us. And guys, we are going to take a short commercial break here. We will be back on MMA Junkie Radio here from Rush 93.
Away from all the fears and all the faults you've left behind. The harvest left no food for you. Is this thing on? Word. So what, we get drunk. So what, we don't sleep.
They can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
That's the edited version? I've never heard that before. So they say, so what, we get drunk, so what, we don't sleep?
Yes, I was going to say the same thing.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've never heard that before.
Wait, what's the regular word?
So what, we smoke.
We smoke weed.
Weed. Yeah, I didn't want to say it. Is weed a bad word out here? That's legal,
so,
right?
Not as bad as the words we said earlier.
I mean, you can't even play that on the regular.
I have no idea.
Aren't they always saying that? I don't know.
Legalize Diaz.
Anyway. All right, we do have one more call here before we wrap up the show. We will be back tomorrow, Friday. It'll be myself, Dan, Tom, and Eric Nixick in studio. And I believe we will have Joe Lazon and not the fighter John Jones, but at John Jones on Twitter will also join us. And right now we're going to go to the phone lines. Who did we have on hold? Gianni in Vegas?
Gianni.
Let's go to Gianni in Vegas. What's up, Gianni?
Hello, how y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Just hanging in there, playing some Injustice.
Injustice is awesome.
Injustice. That's the one with all the superheroes, right?
It is. It's
I've
a really
never
good
played
game.
it, but I've always wanted to because I love that type of.
It's super
genre.
cinematic. It's really cool.
I played Mortal Kombat versus DC. I like that.
It will be worth it.
What was that, Gio?
I said, if you have $70 on you, trust me, it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Right,
I can't stop playing now.
How can we help you, Gianni?
Yeah. I have a few questions for y'all, and I'm not gonna ask no new questions because I'm really into it today.
Cool.
So I just want to know. Yeah, I want to know about my favorite fighter, John Jones. It's just so I just feel so bad for him. You know what I mean? And I just want to know, like, what do y'all know exactly what's going to happen with him?
We don't know just yet, but I will say this: it's just not looking good, man. It really isn't.
Yeah. By the way, I know Gio. Gio's a local. He's an amateur fighter. He's got a lot of snap in his stuff. He's
cool.
He's really good. And he's a new dad too, right? How you doing with that?
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Of course. We're in the same boat, right?
Yeah.
John Jones is in trouble, man. If you're going to see him, you're going to have to see him fight in Japan.
Russia.
I think. Russia.
Something like that, yeah.
Russia's got a new superstar,
It
baby.
definitely won't be the last time you ever see him. He will resurface. We just don't know at what capacity
and on
where,
what drugs,
when, and why.
Right?
Yeah. But Gianni, we're getting ready to wrap up the show here. Thank you very much for the phone call. Thank you very much to everybody who tuned in today. A nice little welcome back that we're getting here on social media. The train will just keep on chugging along, right? I mean, we'll get Gorgeous George back here very soon, and things will get back to normal. But for now, we'll try and hold everything. I wanted to say keep the. I didn't want to use another transportation, a ship, but. Yeah,
We'll run the train in order.
Okay, yeah. Let's keep it with trains.
Get the rollerblades just like moving on the sidewalk.
But tomorrow's show, once again, not the real John Jones, but the real John Jones on Twitter. And Joe Lazon will be our guest tomorrow, along with possibly another fighter that we have booked. So stay tuned till tomorrow. Until then, I'm Goes, that's Chase, that's Dan. You be champions.